Hi guys, welcome back. So now we are going to get stuck into Carl's interview.
Are you sitting comfortably? I'm not.
It's a long video, I'm really sorry, but it's going to be great. I think that
it's a learning experience.
We
learn a lot.
You're going to see a lot of growth, and I apologise for every single answer that he gave to every single question. So yeah, thank you, and we'll see you at the end of the video. So this is the last video that we're going to do a little reaction to. Again, I don't know when this was. I feel like after COVID or in that weird bit in the middle. I do know that we were on holiday in Marlborough, and I was like, right, you can't go anywhere. So you're trapped now.
Post-COVID.
Okay. I had a list of questions for Carl. I used to have a blog and a YouTube channel, and I got Carl to answer a list of questions that I'd written to get his perspective just on how the disease affects him. I feel like men and partners of anyone with this disease are the unsung heroes because they're going through it too. It affects him just as much as it affects me. So I'll let you sort of take control on this one and pause where you want to interject. And
yeah, we are very largely overlooked in the care sector, as it were.
Not by me.
Not by those who suffer from it. No.
I'm grateful.
You are.
Ready?
Yeah.
Your blast from the past.
Oh, look at that young face.
Look at that face. Look at that hair. Right, ready?
Yeah.
How did you feel the first day I got hit with endo pain before we knew what it was?
I was scared and slightly concerned. I've been with partners before where I've had to witness period pains, but this was a little bit more than that, and it just got worse and worse and worse, and then just out of the blue, out of nowhere, it snapped back into reality and you were fine. And it was that instantaneous switch where, oh my god, she can't do anything, to, oh, she's fine. That was the most off-putting.
I think the first day that I had the issue...
I have since learned the difference between endo pain and period pain. Endo pain is a very difficult thing to try and explain. You know it when you see it, because for the person who's suffering, everything else stops. Periods, you kind of have grin and bear, hit water bottle, pain pills, job done. I'll struggle on through.
Like this last week, I've been I'm just a bit crampy, whereas endo pain is screaming.
Endo pain is, the world is dead and I am dying too. There have been days recently where Maria's I'm really enjoying my time with you, but I'm going to bed because I'm done. And that's that.
At 2 in the afternoon as well.
And she'll sleep through until 9, 10 o'clock at night. I'm kind of bad on my part, because I really should wake her up, but at the same time, better to let her sleep through this than wake her up for it.
We set our own rules.
We write our own guidelines, don't you know?
You were at work on the farm, and I think I was screaming pretty loudly. I know that you came home, and we had to call the hospital.
Yeah, I was halfway through walking my shed, and I got a call from you, or got a call from your mum, and they were saying, go home. I wasn't explaining why, I was just told to go.
It's so serious, but you look like you're being interviewed badly by Sky News.
I'm really camera shy back then. I was looking in every other direction but the camera.
It's also really important to note that you have quite severe ADHD, and I put you literally in a corner and then just asked you loads of questions and expected you to not fidget and move, and I think that's really unfair.
So to clarify, I did not get a random call. They came to the door and they beckoned me out and they said, Maria is in trouble. We don't know what it is. We're too busy, but we can let you go.
We're too busy.
You go home and look after Maria. That was all that was said.
When he says we're too busy, what he means is that they're farmers, and sometimes you can't just abandon farm work. We're too busy makes me sound so unimportant.
As hard as it is, farm life is a little bit higher.
home and just to check on you, and then I saw you and I was like, ooh, this is really bad.
I was trying to find somebody and I'd got as far as the garage.
Yeah, you were on your hands and knees.
Not my finest moment. Right, question 2. How do you feel about the length of time it took for us to get a diagnosis?
Oh, that's a joke. I'm really disappointed with the NHS and how it handles endometriosis as a whole. Because
that has not changed.
So long. And after the research that you've done, and everything that we've learned, and everything that's come to the light in recent days, it's insane. It is absolutely crazy as to why it takes so long.
If you want to feel really enraged about how the NHS treats people with endometriosis, you should read the NICE guidelines about endometriosis.
It's horrible to know that after everything, that state of mind hasn't not changed one iota.
In years.
They did nothing for us. And, like, not even, like, post-COVID, when all of her appointments and all of those tests and all of those, like, for lack of a better word, all of those experiments, when they were dropped, we didn't get a letter through, or we didn't get a phone call, knowing that by now we were post-op and there was at least one person in that whole organisation who knew how bad it was, and we still were told nothing. Makes me, it angers me, it irates me.
Speechless, and without words. It should not take that long.
You found your words since then.
So, with the next question, we had quite a few trips backwards and forwards to the doctors to even convince them to refer us to a gynaecologist. We got assigned a gynaecologist. We're not going to talk about which hospitals and where because it's not fair and we don't know who's still working where and that kind of thing, and I don't want to get in trouble, so we're going to talk about it in general.
Anonymity.
But when the first gynaecologist did the scans confirming endometriosis, she then turned around to us and said, well, what do you want me to do about it? What effect did that have on you?
I'm so happy that your mum was there and that you were there and it was a professional workplace environment, because if it wasn't, I would have had a few choice words to say. As a health professional,
do your goddamn job. Do your job better. For a start. I still have like memory flashbacks of that appointment, and she just had this like the world's most boring, most blank face. Like,
she shrugged.
You have a cold.
She shrugged her shoulders. She was literally like, "What do you want me to do about it?"
Your job.
And I was 25.
Get a referral. If you personally don't know how to deal with that situation, find someone who does.
She also didn't explain what it was. Like, at this point, we had they were looking for cancer. Like, we had no idea what endometriosis was. No one explained it. I had to educate myself, and it's ridiculous.
A pamphlet would have been nice.
Yeah, a leaflet! You know, weather dress.
Professional, confirming someone's worst fears, and then saying, well, that's life. What do you want me to do about it? It's not exactly the answer that you're expecting. Even patient.
The other thing I found with that was she told us to just get pregnant. Get pregnant and it'll all go away.
Yeah. That's something that the doctors say quite a lot, as if that is the solution to all of our problems.
It's get pregnant or go on the birth control pill.
I don't even believe. I've hold my hand up. I've not done a lot of reading. I've not done a lot of research to people with endometriosis who are post-child. But I'm very firm in the belief that having a child does not just solve the situation. Yeah, you'll be fine for 9 months.
Yeah, it eases the symptoms.
But after that, then what? Like, that's not a cure. That's at best that's a placebo. Let's be honest. I don't like how that is the first line of defence that 9 out of 10 GPs will say when they say you have endo. What do? Go get pregnant.
I also think that that is one of the things that set us up for like a 10-year journey of failing. Was you need to go and get pregnant. Like that was the advice the doctor gave us, was get pregnant, and you were like, oh my god, the doctor said we need to get pregnant.
Yeah.
10 years later,
this is something that we
I'm still not pregnant. Like, it put an extreme amount of pressure on us as a very young couple.
And then we had to go through the 7, 8, 9 miscarriages. And every time it's like, well, okay, but this isn't going to go away, and this won't go away until we get pregnant.
Like, we have to keep trying.
We've got to try again, and we've got to try again. Maybe we didn't sync up the fertility window properly, so now we have to look at it on that point of view. Everything is so regimented. And it's not a way to live. Like,
yeah. I spent my 20s obsessing about getting pregnant, and it was all that mattered. Nothing else mattered. And I look back and I was like, that was my 20s, man. Like,
the time of your life where you're trying to avoid it at every crossroad.
Yeah, but like, we should have been travelling, and well, not by plane, but but like, we should have been travelling and having adventures, and instead we were at home like, have to make a baby, it was just it's damaging. I wish GPs would stop giving that advice, and I know for a fact that they are. I know people that are still being given that advice, and it's so wrong.
Yeah, you're fine. Just get pregnant, you know.
I just want to add, the youngest you can get diagnosed for endo is how old? What, 16? 18?
Younger. If you have periods, you can have endo.
If you are in the unfortunate position when you get diagnosed and you're at that age, what do you tell that child?
They put them on birth control, which I don't think is right. Not at 12 years old. Like, I mean,
there needs to be a better solution. There needs to be something better in place.
I started my periods when I was 8, and 8 or 9. I was really young. I was still in primary school, and
which could be because of the
endo. Yeah, no, it was, and they've been horrific ever since. So like, it was definitely endo. But can you imagine putting a 9-year-old on a pill? I don't know. I just think like, we should have more options. It's frustrating. Yeah, I think we need to get off this topic because we're both just going to sit here and rage and nobody wants to hear it.
We had an issue before with a GP. We've mentioned it before. We went to see that guy who said to us, just have more sex. And then he said if he found out I got pregnant and took painkillers, he'd shoot me in the head.
I will shoot you myself. Yes.
Yeah, that was good.
Fantastic, man.
He's a weird dude. We should have reported him.
I don't understand how he's
The
a
next
doctor.
gynae we saw told us that there was no notes on my file about endometriosis. How did that make you feel?
This was quite surprising. After growing up in a household where we watched.
It's worth saying the consultant that failed to put notes on my file was the one who shrugged and said, "What do you want me to do about it?" Like, it's worth making that point, I think.
It's worth making that point, but you got to remember, by then we had been seen by 5. We've had 5 or 6 different GPs. We've had different types of scans. We've had different types of blood tests. By then, we knew what we had, and by then, surgeons knew what we had, and there was still nothing on the file.
There was nothing on the file about endometriosis, no.
So many like doctors and hospital TV shows like Casualty in Hornby City, ER.
Yeah, you're a big fan of ER.
big fan of ER. You kind of you get into this mindset where it's a company. It's the hospital is like this place where all files are shared. If a new doctor comes onto your case, all they got to do is look into your file and they'll be like, yeah, okay, yeah, I see this from about 4 or 5 months ago. You were diagnosed. That's no problem. They know this. Reality is they don't. Notes aren't shared. Doctors have their own case file.
I think
notes are shared. Notes get deleted.
I think I need to make a point here in that you were just really frustrated, and I think you were more like, I feel like notes aren't shared. Not they're not shared. Like, we obviously don't know anything at all about admin within the NHS. However, our experience was, whenever we went to an appointment, we had to go through everything again before we could get to like what we needed at that appointment, because they didn't seem to have the information. That was our experience of it.
Our appointments were, they'd range anywhere between 20 to 45 minutes, and at least a good 10-15 minutes of that appointment time is, I need to go through your whole medical history just to find out what we're talking about today, because I have no idea. There's nothing here.
Yeah. But I'm just sort of I know you very emphatically
To
make the point
clarify.
here that they don't make any notes or share any notes, and I think that like
I don't know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. They more than likely do.
it just hasn't been our experience.
For their own people, and it's such a mission and such a hassle to get so many doctors up to speed to where we are, so that we're not stuck doing the exact same stuff every time. And every time we get referred to a new gynae or a new GP, or we have to go to a new hospital for some other test, and we spend like the first hour saying we've done this at 3 other hospitals. Why aren't you checking our notes? It should be notarized. It should be on our file, but it's not, because they don't have one.
So I actually...
I would like to pose this as an open-air question. If someone in Hospital A is telling you that you need to go to Hospital B for another type of test or something, surely it's Hospital A's responsibility to phone ahead and let Hospital B know that you're coming. Because obviously you've got to do that, because how does the appointment get made? So, if that's the case, again, note share.
Oh, I see what you're
Put a
saying.
tagline
I was like,
on,
"What is your?"
on that header? Like,
I had no
Again-
idea what your point was.
again, it's just this. It's a point of contention, and there's a point of aggression for me, because it really,
I
really
need you to calm
irritates
down.
me.
Though. Just calm down.
I know I said 11 questions, but I thought of a couple of extra questions, so I'm going to dive in with
Oh,
those
you're quick,
real
sorry.
quick. So that gynae that we saw who said there was no notes on the file, to her credit, was amazing, said I needed surgery instantly, was discussed.
She was not amazing.
Nope.
What we thought was amazing when we saw our new specialist, who is actually an endometriosis specialist, not just proclaiming to be one.
Enthusiast is not a specialist.
He essentially said that he would have actually done it well. What they did was they removed the endometrioma, and they'd said that they had removed the adhesions. And the problem with endometriosis is if you miss one cell, it can come back. And so by leaving the adhesions in, all that happened when they took that endometrioma out was it just spread again. And it spread really, within 6 months, I had 5 new cysts, including the hemorrhagic cyst. And when I was discharged, no one explained to me what they'd found or what had been done. I was just given a letter in doctor speak that I had to get a friend to help me decode. We then went to a GP who helped us, so we could get actual answers to decipher it. At the time, I was like, "This is amazing! Like, I've had this surgery and things are going to be better." And they just didn't do it properly.
Little did we know.
They said they were a specialist. What they meant was that they had a special interest in. They weren't a specialist. I don't disagree with the care that I had in the hospital. I just disagree with what was done in the surgery.
I'd also like to point out that during the surgery, the quick 3 hours...
It's all in here.
It's all in there?
Mm-hmm.
At how we've been treated, booked us in
Let
for
the record
surgery,
speak.
did the surgery, removed the endometrioma. How did you feel when my sort of 2-3 hour surgery took closer to 8 hours?
I wish I bought more stuff to read. It was quite scary and quite unnerving. Because after the 2.5 hour to 3 hour mark, I was like, okay, cool. She's in recovery. No one's told me this, but then again, I am just outside of a women-only ward, so maybe there's some sort of procedure that she has to be back in ward before I'm told. It's okay, it's fine, don't worry. And then, as the day went on, more orderlies realised I was still sitting outside the room, and more patients who had been assigned, had been treated, and then left, were like, "Oh my god, you're still here!" So I've been here since this morning. It was unnerving. It was actually...
I feel like you're reliving that a little bit because I can feel you sighing next to me. I can feel like...
To my own regret, I wish I had gone up and asked more people to find out what was going on. I didn't know that was a thing that I could do. I didn't know that was a power that I had. Because at that point, I really bloody well should have. But at the same time, you're kind of thinking, well, if something had gone wrong, then obviously they'll send someone out.
They had no idea who you were. No one would know who you are. Like, yeah. But also, we were really young. Like, I think we were 26, 27, like...
Like,
It was intense.
they saw us come in together. Like, so obviously, like, yeah, they know who I am. Obviously not.
It was really quite concerning, because the more time that you're sitting there and you're waiting, that's more time for you to think that something's gone wrong. And no one's telling me anything, and I can't find anyone to ask what's going on. And if I did get up and wander and try and find someone, then what if, because it's a female-only ward, what if I missed my slot, my chance to be like, oh, okay, can I go through and see her now? So I was achy, I was tired and uncomfortable, and I was worried.
So there was a couple of complications with surgery, and that what they thought was just one endometrioma, they then discovered that so many of my internal organs are stuck together, and it's then stuck to my abdominal wall, and it was a lot more complicated than we thought. But again, credit to the hospital, I was so poorly that they put me in a private room, and they actually let you stay the night in my private room with me, because the news that we'd had was so horrible, and I have to say, they were brilliant.
They were brilliant.
Those nurses were really good.
Yeah. Real credit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other question that I wanted to quick fire at you was, less than 6 months after that surgery, we went for our first IVF appointment, and one of the things they wanted to do was a quick ultrasound scan, just to make sure everything was okay before they referred us to the next stage. And when they did that quick ultrasound scan, they found 5 new endometriomas and a hemorrhagic cyst.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
That terrified me. That really, really shook me up. Because after you were in surgery for so long, I was like, alright, cool. I've had
I shall pause my own naivety.
It's okay to be terrified.
With the gift of hindsight and everything that we know now, I didn't. It's easy to see that the operation went wrong.
Yeah, I think it shouldn't have been fear. We should have been angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't until that moment where we realised that instead of like a clean bill, as it were, we were just moved back 3 spaces, and then we rolled a double 6. So then we had to move forward 12 in a short amount of time.
Also, after this was the most horrific appointment I think we had, because we were going in expecting to start the IVF ball rolling, and we came out being like, you're riddled.
This is the appointment.
You bought me some chocolate to cheer me up, and I chipped my tooth on it after the appointment. Like, it was just a horrible day.
You broke your tooth on the frozen Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, I did, on the chocolate. Sad.
Sadness noises.
Yeah, I think that was by far the worst appointment that we've had. And it wasn't even endo related. Like, we weren't there for that.
I think that was the appointment where everyone kept coming in.
That was the appointment where everyone kept coming in.
I understand that you don't get better from endo, but hey, we reset the clock, right? We're back to stage 1 instead of having to deal with stage 4 cysts. We're now looking at basics, like the basic glue holding everything together. And then that
So
came
naive.
The naivety.
and just it hit home in such a way that this is a lot more serious than what I initially thought it would be. Because it's weird.
Because you're naive.
I wasn't underplaying it, and I wasn't exactly. It's not like I was like taking it for granted. Like, oh, you got a few things stuck together, you're fine. You can
Walk it off.
But it's terrifying. It's a really horrible disease. There's not really much else I can say. And when we saw them, because I was sitting beside the nurse.
Yeah, they were brilliant. They did talk us through everything.
Yeah, they sort of around the screen and they're like, okay, so there's one here, there's one here, there's one here, there's one here. That one's not. That's a hemorrhagic cyst, and that's something totally different.
I found the scariest moment in that for me was when they kept leaving the room to get other nurses to show other people.
Yeah.
They kept bringing people in the room to have a look and be like, look at this girl's uterus. You don't mind, do you? That was,
legs in the stirrups.
Someone's got to learn from it somehow, and if volunteering my uterus to be looked at by numerous doctors means that we learn something about this disease. I'm all for it.
Wasn't one of your cysts actually taken to be studied?
The one they took out, they took
Yeah.
to study because they were worried about cancer. We've had the all clear from that. They worried about it several times since then, and we've had more tests, and they're still saying we're all clear from that. So, touch wood, that's all fine.
Yeah.
So, coming off of that, endometriosis is a condition that affects everyone in your life, from your friends and family, co-workers, to just random acquaintances. What's been the hardest part for you in having a partner with endometriosis?
Honestly, the hardest part for being with someone partner who has endometriosis, it's been trying to explain it to my friends.
I just want to put the panic in your voice at that question. You're like, how do I answer this honestly without upsetting her?
The hardest part of having a partner with endometriosis is living with endometriosis. It's not explaining it to people. People are dumb. They'll either get it or they don't. The hardest part is, at the end of the day, after doing like a family or friend event, at the end of the day coming home and then watching your partner crumble into a ball on the floor because they can't move anymore. That's the hardest part. And having to feel the bed vibrate at
these
3
days
o'clock in the morning because they can't sleep and they're just crying themselves to sleep because of the pain.
I feel like these days, like, even going to work or something as made it mundane as going to Tesco's. Like, I'll come back and be like, that's me done for the day. But, yeah. Although your answer back then was very different, so it shows how much you've learnt and grown and matured.
I have matured a lot since then, I can honestly say.
You're a different person now. We'll address that with the last question. We'll let it play out and then we'll address it.
I don't really have a lot of female friends, and when my male friends, when they get in touch every now and then and they ask like how things are, I have to pause and think a moment, because I'm like, well, the relationship itself is good. We are okay. But at the same time, we are not okay.
I think
because for the past 5 days, Maria's been in bed, unable to move because of this illness.
I think the hardest part for me and all of that is a few of your friends, I'm not going to name names because I still love them, asked you if you were going to leave me because of it.
Yeah. I'll touch on that.
Yeah, the next question that I have is, has there been a moment where you felt like throwing in the towel? Moments where it's been so hard that you've just felt like you can't do it?
Once or twice.
Yeah, I know the answer to this question and I know it in depth, so it's okay for you to talk about it.
Yeah, there's been times when I have thought that this was a little bit too much. I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
This is one I was
didn't know if
going to say let it play out and then address it.
I personally didn't know if I was that strong, or if I had a strong enough character to be able to offer any help, give any support.
I think as well the infertility side of it is quite scary. When I got diagnosed I was 24, 25.
Yeah.
So 25. To find out at 25 that kids are probably not on the cards for you must have been really hard.
That was the hardest blow. That's something. It's not like it's not something like I can usually get over either. Like even now, there are days where I think, do I really want kids? Well, naturally, I feel that naturally every human wants, at some point in their life, everyone's going to think, yeah, I wouldn't mind having a family. That's something to pass on. She doesn't have that option, really. And I love her. I love you enough to want to give up my option. Aww. But there are days, there are dark days where I'm like, can't help but think if I made a mistake.
I think that's human, and I don't hold that against you.
Except I do. No. I don't. Do you wanna break that answer down? Because we're a good 3 or 4.
There's a lot to unpack.
Well, 3 or 4 years on from that. I know our stance on fertility has changed. Like,
Yeah.
I'll let you lead because
when I was younger, I always thought that family and kids wasn't a choice. It was an eventuality. It's something you kind of settle into. You get the job, tick. You get the house, tick. You get the car, tick. What's next? Family, cool. It's just something that humans do. I didn't really look at it as a choice or an option, until all of this landed in our plate, so to speak. But it's not. But it's. I will say that it's incredibly naive. It's incredibly naive of me, and very, for lack of a better word, very immature to be like, yeah, kind of resent that, a little bit of resentment there because you can't have it, and it's not a reason.
But I think that even as recently as December, when we went for the appointment at the hospital, where we were expecting to be told you need a hysterectomy, this is your only option. And what he said was, you can have the hysterectomy, or we can do the same surgery we did before, but I'll just do it better. And you could try again for a child. Potentially. Maybe. Eventually. Who knows? And we had to have a conversation and decide what we wanted to do. And you're so made up in your mind now that you don't want children, that the conversation then became, actually, if you really want that surgery and you want to go again for kids, you were reevaluating if you were going to stay in the relationship, yes, because that's not what you wanted, and you didn't want me to be robbed of the opportunity to have a kid, and then it was just that pressure all over again. And before, it was a case of, well, you might leave me because we're not going to have children, and then it was, you might leave me because I want to have children. And I just sort of I need to catch my breath. I needed time to really sit, and they give you 7 days grace to decide if you want to attempt to have another baby or not. If you want surgery A or surgery B. I had 7 days to make a decision. And I picked the hysterectomy because, like I said earlier, I've missed, I missed my 20s. And by the time I've had the surgery, I'm going to have missed most of my 30s. And I am so ready to climb mountains and jump out of aeroplanes and go surfing and, all the things that I really care about and want to do. And I would rather not have a baby with you than have a baby with anyone else. So, the decision was easy for me, but again, it put you in a position where no one was asking you what you thought or what you wanted or what would be right for you. And I would never get a hysterectomy for you, but it's the position. She doesn't love me enough. She doesn't love me enough. But it's the position. Shut up. It's the position that couples like us find themselves in. It's It's so, I need black and white thinking, and there's no black and white in this, and that just complicates the crap out of it.
Again, it's just another really good example of how the partner, or the partner in the relationship, regardless of stance, whether you're husband or boyfriend,
or wife or
girlfriend, you're not taken into consideration because it's not your body, and how. From an outsider's perspective, how it feels, look at it is...
My body, my choice.
Your body, your choice, but not your body, not your problem. You're just kind of there.
Yeah. People are I had... My closest friends had said sort of, yeah, but what do you... Well, I don't care about what Carl wants. What do you want? And I fully understand that line of questioning, because everyone's got to make sure that I've banged on for a decade about how badly I want a baby, and people obviously feel like I've done a U-turn. I'm just sick of being in pain. I want my life back. I'll go into the impact it's going to have on me permanently in a bit, but it's crap. I don't. But you don't. I feel like the ways you've explained you feel here, as you've grown and matured, and we've grown and matured together, you don't seem to feel that way. There's been times where you've used it against me in a fight,
which I hate myself for. Don't come at me.
But that's fine. You're entitled to be frustrated and pissed off. But I will always, if it ever comes up as a reason in a fight, I will always put you back in your box.
Yes, you do. You do a very good job of that.
I won't tolerate it from you. I've tolerated it from other people. But yeah, I think that your mindset's changed, but I don't.
My mind, I've learned the value of being support. I know. I don't think. Because I think it's because of my age, or maybe because we weren't really that long into the relationship. I didn't quite understand my role, and I didn't understand the gravity of the mature situation that we had been thrown in.
There was a lot of pressure.
So I really looked at everything like through this like tinted view, this naive young man's view of like, yeah, it'll work itself out.
Yeah.
And because of that, I didn't give myself enough credit.
I agree with that.
I don't, and I think I heavily misunderstood and underestimated the gravity of the situation. Not just from what we had come out of, but what we were setting ourselves up for moving forward.
Yeah.
But it's something that I officially retract. Do I feel like leaving? If I ever feel like leaving, it is not because of this illness. It's not because I feel worthless. It's not because I don't think I can help. Because I know I can. I understand my value when it comes to you.
It's because I moan when you don't put your socks in the laundry basket.
All the time.
Well, I'm glad you stayed.
I'm glad I stayed too. It's been a journey.
Blame me for that. I think also we've had a lot of loss on the journey as well.
Yes.
Not some quite recent, and I have to say that the people in our life that know about it have been so supportive, and we appreciate that.
We thank each and every one of you.
So we know why you found it, how hard you found it, but what made you stay?
Oh, because I love you so much, my dear. I kind of looked at it the same way as staying with someone who has cancer.
I love that line.
Horrific.
Really.
Horrific. I think
this says so much about your character.
This says so much about how young and stupid you were.
Yeah.
It's so bad. Like, I mean, I'm going to let it play out of what you have to say, but you should be ashamed of yourself.
Oh, God. The cringe.
If you're willing to put an illness before the personality that you've fallen in love with, the person that you've spent so much time with, that you've grown to know, your endo is the last thing on some like this ever-growing list of all the stuff that I love about you, and all the things that.
Smooth.
To word it better, the endometriosis is inconsequential to how I feel about you.
Aww.
It doesn't matter that you have it. And I chose to stay. One, as you can plainly see, I was a bit of an idiot. But
I prefer the phrase massive tool.
I chose to stay because I love you, and because I know that I was stronger than the fear of being with someone with an illness.
I think that's much better than your original statement.
Yeah, the cringe.
I love you too, by the way.
Contribute you to you. I can't say I don't care about it.
Right. We've kind of touched on what your opinion is on how long it takes to get a diagnosis, so we'll skip that one and go with what advice would you give anyone whose partner has endometriosis?
Stay strong. And don't beat yourself up if you get second thoughts and doubts.
If you love the person, you're never going to get second thoughts and doubts.
I don't think that's true. I think everyone has a threshold. It's my body, and I have second thoughts and doubts about, like, but if we're perfectly honest, I've had suicidal thoughts at times, and that's me having second thoughts and doubts about my own body dealing with the disease. So whenever you've had second thoughts or doubts, like, we were kids, Like, it's fine. It's okay to feel that way. I think, like, it's okay to feel that way, but, like, it will pass. Hopefully, is...
Don't be so naive about it.
Yeah. You're allowed to be like, oh my god, this is hard as balls. Like, that's fine. It's hard. There is nothing easy about this disease. I do not hold that against you.
Don't hate yourself if you wake up one morning and it happens to be day 2 of your partner's period, and she's like, I can't do it today. I can't go to work. I'm not getting out of bed. Just provide hot water bottles and glasses of water.
And snugs.
And just think that's what you're. For them, that's their day to day. But it makes it a little bit easier and more manageable if you're there, and that's what you've got to remember. In a support network, the closer you are to the victim, the more important that you are.
Victim.
That's.
I do feel like
Victim. I'm a victim of this disease.
I had such a difficult time trying to find the right words.
Articulating what you wanted to say.
But in saying that, what is the right kind of word?
You're basically trying to say, like, there's going to be days where it's really hard, but you need to be strong to support them, I think is what you were trying to say.
Support network.
Support networks are important. Like, you're supporting me, but you need someone to support you. So you have your brother, or in fact my brother, is really supportive. Like, if you messaged Matt and was like, Maria's got a period and she's driving me crazy, he would reply and support you, be like, yes. She's alright, bitch. Like, but like, sometimes that's all you need. Like, I think that I think the gist of what you were trying to say is, like, you're going to have days where you think it's really, really hard, but actually think how hard it is for them and keep supporting them.
As much as my words fail me, my heart was coming from the right place. I knew what I meant.
You're so young. You've come so far.
A victim of this disease. What effect has the diagnosis had on you personally? Like, in regards to your mental health, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about us. No relationship is perfect, and there's definitely been moments where endometriosis has contributed to you having a wobble, other than the fact that you're the world's biggest commitment phone. We're about to hit the 4 year.
We're about to hit the 4-year mark. We've just hit 7 years, and we've been married for nearly 2. So.
Unfiltered, non-judging. What effect has the diagnosis had on you personally?
It's been hard. It's been hard to sit and watch someone I love and someone I care about suffer with a disease that even now modern scientists don't really understand and have the vaguest of idea on how to not even treat, like, just help the patient cope. Doctors don't listen. We don't get meds, so we have to fall back on what we know, and sometimes what we know is bed rest, and that sucks because there's one little thing that's popping out of my head is one of our first holidays. We went to London.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh, I buried that.
We went to London, and I think it was for my birthday. It was, wasn't it? It was my birthday weekend.
Yeah.
And Maria had spent hours planning everything. From the time we're waking up, what we're packing, where we're going, what we're doing when we get there, what we're going to... We just left our hotel, and we had gotten to the underground station. We were like, right, we're in about 5 minutes' time, we're going to go on this train, and then we're going to go to a museum, and then we're going to go to another museum, and then we're going to come back, we're going to get some lunch, and then we're going to go back out. And just as our train pulled into the station, she was like, no, I can't. We have to go back. I can't walk. I can barely sit down. I'm in so much pain, and I
remember just squatting in the middle of the corridor trying to get back out at the tube station, and I couldn't move.
Yeah.
And it's London, so nobody even looked at me.
No one cares.
Nobody gave a shit.
So much pain and just sink into a crowd of people, and no one will care. And you got to be. That's when I learned that you can't always have days out. kind of things won't ever go according to plan. As much as she tries, she does plan for quite a lot, and thankfully, the support network and the doctors are now finally starting to listen. So the meds that she's getting are helping. Things have gotten easier, but it has been so much harder getting to this point where she can now actually plan days out and succeed in those plans. Whereas 2 or 3 years ago, it was literally, right, I've got about 5 days, I've got like 5 or 6 days where I'm not in pain, and I hope to God that we can go to this one place. We book holidays for 2 weeks, one place. The rest of the time is, I don't know if I can go here, I'll try. And then circle back around because endo pain kicks in.
I mean, we've climbed mountains during flares now.
Yeah.
We did 7 counties in Ireland in 5 days. We're bossing it now. The last question is important to me. Recently.
Sorry, I feel like you had things that you wanted to say on that.
Oh.
I've just got to shift a bit.
Shift your weight. I'll shift my weight too. Been here for a little
Sat on the
while,
floor,
haven't I?
yeah.
I've got so many thoughts running through my mind, I've actually forgotten the question. What was the question?
It was like how it's affected you, and you were like, essentially, that
yeah.
you can't do the stuff you want to do.
Yeah, don't plan for anything anymore, which is fine. Like, you learn to adjust to it. Learning to adjust and being able to adapt to unfavourable situations is a task, is a skill that I've recently acquired.
I think for me the biggest issue is that there's so many things I want to do, and my friends are helping me adapt to this, but actually I can't do them, and it's really frustrating and it's really upsetting because I want to do the things that a normal 32-year-old could do, like go for a walk or climb a flight of stairs. And I can't, and the biggest adjustment for me in the last couple of months is understanding that, like, if I need to travel for work for a meeting that, like, the whole department's going to be at, I physically can't do it, and I think, like, having to accept my limitations for that, so I can't even do something as basic as my job, is, and don't get me wrong, because I have the most supportive team and the most incredible manager in the whole world, and I'm so lucky, but there's always going to be a tiny part of me that's like, you just can't have a normal life, and that's so pessimistic. Like, I don't want to be pessimistic, so I'm finding things now that I can do. So, like, we're going away next week for 3 or 4 days, and I've planned to do one walk,
which we will do
somewhere in the 4 days.
We no longer plan,
and it's
on
not
days.
even that long. So, you know, I'm just learning to live within my limits. But the question was about you, and I've just talked about me for 10 minutes, so you go.
The main thing I've learnt, and funny enough, I didn't even realise I'd learned it until I watched myself back, is how much it ages and matures you. There's not, in terms of like then and now, that it's really not that long of a time scale.
I don't recognise these people though. Like, I feel like a residual part of them. Like, I remember you being a bit of a selfish twat, and I remember being a massive mardy cow at times. But, like, watching this back, and I've cried a lot recently, but I've had to come to terms with the fact that I'm going to have a hysterectomy, so, you know,
that's the whole thing.
It's been sad, but, like, the first video we watched, I'm just snotting and snuffling the whole way through, and that girl is so sad. And I'm not that sad now.
You're not.
Like, I know it seems like it.
You came through the other side, shining. And I came through better.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really recognise the individual who I'm staring at with such contempt.
There's a lot of growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It matures you.
So, like, how has endo affected you? It's made you grow up.
Yeah. It really does put a lot of things in perspective. Which is odd, because It's not lethal, it's just life-changing.
Well, it's lethal now, but we'll go into that
Yeah.
at the end of this video. Fun.
People might have, in fact, I know people saw, it was all over the news.
Yes.
Endometriosis MPs have been rallying to gather support for us because 7.5 to 8 years, to some people 10 years, like me, to get a diagnosis is disgusting. It's unacceptable. And MPs rallied and came through for us and told GPs to do something about it. Off the back of that, I've had at least 8 or 9 people message me in the last week just saying, I think I have endometriosis, I just need a bit of support, which is amazing, and you're beautiful people.
Massive
And I love that my opinion
reach out.
matters.
Yeah.
Why is raising awareness important to you?
The act of raising awareness is important because if we don't get our stories heard, and if we don't make a stand, it will never change. We could have hundreds, thousands of people on Twitter each and every day complaining, but if no one's actually going to set up something where the officials hear and the officials know, then this time next year, it could be someone else's 10th year in silent suffering before they finally get diagnosed. 10 years down the line, it could be someone else's turn to have all of that time of their life in pain.
If we have kids, our kids could have that issue.
Yeah. That's a thought. That's a worry.
Sorry. Okay, have you got anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
I want to add, I can't stress enough how important it is for raising awareness and for fundraising and for charities to be involved in any way, in any and every way that they can. I'm not really a very active person, but I'm looking into doing some sort of gaming marathon for charities that endorse money towards endometriosis research. Anything and everything that you can, because it's a disease that is largely overlooked by the NHS. It has very little support, and there is next to I hold on to that word. I was about to say there's next to nothing publicly, but we do now have a national endometriosis day.
We have March is Endometriosis Awareness Month. You have Endo UK, and then you also have I think it's the Endometriosis Foundation. There's a new UK charity that's been set up, so we've got options. Should we do the last minute of this video?
Let's crack it.
No, I don't think I do.
Okay, well, thank you for answering my questions and not running away. And I know it makes you feel really awkward to just have the camera on you, so I really appreciate that.
This camera can't pick it up, but I'm actually sweating.
Right,
I've gotten used to it by now.
Alright, have a nice day.
So, yes, I feel like we covered a lot of feedback on that video. It was good. So just a little update on where we are now. I'm going to start with the gross stuff. So bowel endometriosis is one of the only forms of endometriosis that can be life-threatening because it can cause bowel impaction, and that is potentially a real issue for me. I will have, no matter how well surgery goes, I'll have permanent nerve damage to my bladder and my bowel. I need a hysterectomy. They'll leave one ovary. I'll start Zoladex soon, which will basically simulate the menopause. I take Provera at the moment, which was working, and in the last 2 weeks has completely stopped working. I now have severe anemia as well.
This has happened
so in the last,
before.
This
so I'm not
it
entirely
happened.
sure if Provera is the right drug to be going
And
forward with long term.
I'll come off the Provera and then start the Zoladex, so I won't need the Provera anymore.
Yeah.
But I had severe anemia, which was causing tachycardia, so I was getting very dizzy, feeling very sick. My heart felt like it was just going to burst out of my chest, and then it felt like it wasn't beating at all. It's all been like a bit of a mess. And that's been caused by the last couple of weeks and the issues with the Provera. I think, for me, now my main focus is getting to the surgery date. We were naive and were like, well, we've been waiting for years now, so like we're going to go in, we're going to see the specialist, he's going to be like, it's really bad. And my file was like this thick, so he had notes. And he kept like muttering and saying the words extreme and extensive, and was very, when we talked to him about some of the things the GPs had said to us, he was getting like visibly angry at the things we've been told. He was really kind, and I'm really excited that he is going to be my surgeon. I was really disappointed that I received a letter saying I'm not urgent, and that's fine. There's obviously women that need hysterectomies for so many reasons. But my wait is going to be around 2 years. And when you've already been waiting for 8 years, so by the time I actually have the surgery, I'm going to be nearly 36. It just feels like I felt like there was light at the end of the tunnel, and then like adjusting to that news just before Christmas as well was then a case of like, oh well, there's no light at the end of the tunnel, or the light's even further away, and just I feel like my head is around it now.
Yeah. Through the worst of it.
And I was generally in a much better place, and I was like, yeah, I can do this, like I'm getting my life back. And then my Provera stopped working, and the last 2 weeks have been absolute hell, and I can feel the backslide. And so I've just been working with you and working with my friends and working with my team at work to just find ways to cope, find ways to manage it. Self-care is so important. If you're not well, you're not well. I don't feel that way, but everyone else has been hammering that into me for the last few months. So
one thing that I have, one positive change that you have done, which I like really appreciate you doing, and I really thank you for, is that you're starting to take more notice of yourself in your own limits. You no longer have this mentality of, no, I have to push through. It doesn't matter how much pain I'm in. I will crawl across this finish line. You now realise, I woke up today. That's a race one in itself. I'm going back to bed. I'm done.
We live on the 3rd floor of a 3-story house, and sometimes it's a challenge just to do the stairs. That I quite often go down the stairs on my bum to go for a wee because I can't do it. And I come back up and I need to have a sit down outside the living room door before I can actually come in. So there's going to be a lot of adjustment, and as bad and as extreme as the endometriosis is now, there's more organs involved, but I don't want to get too intimate or too graphic with the internet. But I really think that we're looking back at that. My main reaction is how far we've come and how much we've grown. Like, I thought we were going to look back at that and get really upset. I thought I was going to cry, but actually, like, we laughed a lot. I think that it was... laughing at, like, our naivety, not at the situation. Obviously, it is a serious situation, but it's our situation and we experienced it. And
we're allowed to show whatever emotion we feel.
I feel like sometimes you need to laugh instead of cry. I wanted to do this video to be educational. I just think it's 1 in 10 women have this disease. The average diagnosis time is still 7 years. The gold standard of care is to put women on the pill if they have endometriosis. That is not a treatment. It is not a cure. Getting pregnant won't cure it. A hysterectomy should not be a treatment option for a disease. It just shouldn't be. It's not good enough.
That's something that you should look at when you have no other options left.
Yeah. Periods shouldn't be taboo. Workplaces should be providing sanitary towels and tampons. It needs to be talked about. Your mum had periods. Just, like, it's normal. You wouldn't be here without them. So I just think, like, we need to be talking about it and having this conversation. I've had people in and out of work make me feel dirty. And I refuse to feel that way anymore, and it's liberating. So, yeah, I have endometriosis, and it's shit.
She has endometriosis and shit.
Yeah. But I'm really grateful for everyone's support. I know this has been, like, really long, and so many people won't watch this, and the ones that do probably don't care, but,
We're thankful for every view that we get.
Yeah, I feel
we don't post up enough, and we apologise for that, but
I'm sick. And it's okay, I have limits. I think that we'll look back at this after my hysterectomy and be like, oh my god, look how naive we were again. Look at those fools. I'll be 60 with it. But no, seriously, thank you everyone that supports us. I really appreciate it, and I'm really grateful. And if you do comment, be kind, because, you know.
Because we won't read it otherwise.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's it. Thank you so much.
Like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next video.